Yes, Harvey, champion at Pro Star Electric Football by Coleco.
With a $6 million man and his bionic mission.
As a child of the 1960s, there was always that awesome new toy or gadget that every kid wanted and wished they could have. If you were one of the lucky ones, you instantly became the cool kid. Here are some gadgets from the 1960s that every child dreamed of having.
Out, a left to the jaw, and...
Oh, my block is knocked off.
If you were a fan of boxing, you loved Rock'em Sock'em Robots. In 1964, the toy gained massive popularity. Children pressed their noses on shopping windows in admiration. It was the perfect gift and made of durable plastic that featured a miniature boxing ring with two robots, one being the red rocker and the other the blue bomber. It had controls sticking out of the opposite sides. Players could choose their corner and use the control lever to control their little guy. The goal was to make the robots swing their fists until their opponent's head was knocked off. The game was a huge thrill for kids, and they spent hours competing for the knockout. It went for about $6, and today it's a rare collectible.
Amazing motorized easy show movie projector. Notice that it runs all by itself.
Next up is the toy that provided children a bit of movie theater experience. Kenner's Give-A-Show projector was made in 1959 and instantly became popular. The lightweight plastic projector ran on batteries and came with various slide strips that featured characters from popular TV shows and cartoons. The strips went inside the projector and the mini story would be projected on the wall for everyone to watch. They came up one at a time in bright, appealing colors. Kids could trade their slides with each other or purchase more to add to their collection. They included popular cartoons like Bugs Bunny, Scooby-Doo, and more, and the Give-A-Show projector kept children entertained whenever Mom wanted them to stay indoors. The ViewMaster 3D viewer is another gadget from the 60s that fascinated everyone. Created in 1939, it allowed children to experience images and pictures in 3D before TV became popular. The viewer had a disc containing small film slides arranged in a circular reel. Children could look through and press the lever to see images presented in stereoscopic 3D. It made each and every visual seem close and real. The reels were sold separately from the ViewMaster, and they covered a wide variety of themes, including famous landmarks, television shows, cartoons, animals, and scenes. Children collected and swapped the reels with friends to acquire new ones. It made it all the more valuable. And today, they're still loved and collected by retro toy enthusiasts.
Wave oven, pour in the mix, it's lots of fun. Bake 10 minutes till it's nice and...
In the 1960s, Kenner introduced the Easy Bake Oven. It allowed children to bake their own tiny treats, featuring a standard incandescent light bulb as a heat source, which made it safe for children to use without adult supervision. It was compact and featured two chambers, one for cooking and the other for cooling. Children could insert their cookie mixes on tiny pans through the small slot, and heat from the bulb would bake them to a crisp. The oven was perfect for kids to learn and experiment with their own recipes, some of them tasty, while others were lessons learned. Although the Easy Bake Oven was relatively pricey for the time, families that could afford them became hosts and brought other children around for a communal amount of baking. It became one of the hottest holiday gifts and offered the children the thrill of baking.
Light, all my pictures are shining bright.
Lightbrite takes on a different level of entertainment for children. Designed by Hasbro, it allowed them to create illuminated pictures using translucent plastic pegs. The box came with a low-watt bulb, black paper templates, and colored pegs, and children could follow along with the template or create their own thing. The light from the box would shine through the pegs, creating beautiful glowing images. The templates had popular characters from cartoons and TV shows, but were one-time use, so kids were encouraged to use their imagination while creating art patterns. The glowy patterns came alive in dark rooms and were fun for the entire family.
NFL, electric, football.
The electric football game by Tudor opened up a world of possibilities never seen before. It simulated American football, with small players on a field that moved with vibration. A hands-on method for children to play the game by themselves and be fascinated by the results. The field was set on a metal piece with a detailed marking typically found on football fields, each team having the same number of players, and whenever the motor was switched on, vibrations would cause the players to move in unpredictable ways. All you had to do was set them up and turn on the power to watch them sprint across the field and tackle each other. What was exciting was the unpredictability. You just never knew what was going to happen. Players often moved in random directions or even the wrong way, making the game entertaining with a pinch of humor. It was loved by everyone, from football fans to people who didn't know anything about the sport. The Thing Maker was a unique toy and not your typical kind of entertainment. It was satisfactory for children who loved critters and would be fascinated with the idea of creating them. It was a toy set that allowed children to make rubbery insects and arachnids of all shapes and size, but you also had to cook them. It's nothing crazy. All you did was get out the mold, which came in various bug shapes, as well as flowers and other items, open a bottle of liquid known as Plastigoop, and pour it into the molds. Then you cook the molds over a small hot plate and cool them before peeling out a rubbery toy. They were used for decorating the home and even as fashion accessories.
Sing Serpentor, the ultimate Cobra Emperor.
Action figures were some of the coolest toys to own in the old days, and many TV shows made their own, or the shows were made just to sell the toys. One that made a major splash in the market was G.I. Joe action figures. Made by Hasbro in 1964, it offered children a chance to use their imagination to create their own world. They could become their own heroes, create stories, and fight the enemy with lifelike soldiers in uniforms. They were 12 inches tall, highly articulated, and came with extra accessories, realistic uniforms, and movable joints, which allowed you to change their poses. Eventually, it became a television show that was successful, and kids were continuously reinventing and developing the story and characters up until the 90s. Fans of the show became collectors of the figures, and the figures can still be found in retro shops and major toy stores.
Endless hours of fun and games.
Etch-a-sketch.
From Peter Pan.
The Etch-a-Sketch toy was another gadget that brought kids together, allowing them to express their artistic side, creating drawings by turning the two knobs on the small machine. Developed and introduced by the Ohio Art Company in the early 60s, it was launched as a toy that appealed to children. Designed as a plastic square with the screen and two knobs. The left knob moved the line horizontally, while the right knob controlled vertical movements, allowing users to draw lines, curves, and shapes. The machine contained aluminum powder inside, creating the drawings, and if you made a mistake, you could reset it to a blank sheet by shaking it up. This machine had several updated versions and even digital adaptations, giving modern children a taste of what toys used to be like in the 60s.
Batteries not included.
Barbie's a super driver. Bye!
Maybe you heard about the talking Barbie of the 60s. The very first talking Barbie was introduced as 1968 by Mattel. The ability to talk added a new dimension to the classic Barbie doll, giving her a few fun phrases that got kids excited. The mechanized Barbie came with a string, and when you pulled it, you'd hear a pre-recorded phrase, like "Let's have a party" or "Come on, let's go dancing." Kids could imagine participating in actual conversation with their doll. The talking Barbie was a fan favorite, and speech technology set the doll apart from others of the era. Back in the 1960s, virtually every home owned a transistor radio. These portable battery-powered radios utilized transistor technology, allowing the device to be compact and easy to carry in your pocket, compared to the bulky tube radios of the time. Early ones featured a metal or plastic case, a tuning dial, and a speaker, and the older ones operated on AM frequency, while the design that came later included FM bands. Even with a small size, the sound quality was good. Teenagers could tune into their favorite stations while adults carried the radio everywhere to stay updated on the news.
Designs that pop, making designs with spirograph.
If you were feeling artistic back in those days, there was no better way to pass the time than with a spirograph. They helped to create mesmerizing designs that combine geometry with complex art. It came as a set of plastic gears with holes which allowed the pen to move in a circular motion while creating complex looping patterns that look like floral designs. Kids created these spirals and also took their time to color them in, and even today the spirograph is a popular toy for children of all ages. If you were one of the lucky ones to get a Johnny 7 one-man army for Christmas or your birthday, you were one of the coolest kids on the block, with others begging to have a turn. Designed by Topper Toys in 1964, it was an all-in-one combat kit featuring 7 different functions, earning the name of Johnny 7 One-Man Army. It came with a grenade launcher, anti-bunker missile, anti-tank rocket, a Tommy gun, a double rifle, and a bayonet. And with a length of almost 3 feet, the toy looked real, allowing children to immerse themselves in an action-packed war. The Captain Action doll is a unique toy that came around at a time when superhero dolls became trendy. Children wanted the figures of various heroes, and this gave the Ideal Toy Company an idea. They decided to make a single doll that could become whatever superhero you wanted it to be. They introduced the Captain Action doll, a figure that transformed into every pop culture character, and it meant that you had multiple heroes in one figure. It was about 12 inches tall and usually came with a blue uniform and a captain's hat, but also a wide range of other costumes and accessories. Each outfit had a mask, cape, gears, and accessories that made him look like an actual superhero. Though the doll was discontinued in 1968, nostalgia fans and collectors are still keeping the legacy alive.
Super Tectron, Super Formula, Super Ball. Even the golf ball.
Whammo introduced the Super Ball in 1965, an exciting bouncy toy that fascinated children and adults with its remarkable high bouncing capability. It was marketed to be the highest bouncing rubber ball you'll ever find, made from a special synthetic rubber known as Zectron, which supposedly had a distinct chemical composition, allowing it to store up a good amount of kinetic energy so that when you dropped it, it would hit the surface and bounce really high. Today, these balls are timeless collectibles.
And the $6 million man.
Look out, Steve! You'll never be.
If you loved action figures, you'll love the $6 Million Man Bionic toy. Based on the hit television show of the 70s, the toy represented a hardcore hero known as Steve Austin, played by Lee Majors. The doll mirrored his bionic abilities and had unique features like the ability to lift objects, many telescopic eyes, and panels on his arms and legs. It all enhanced the looks and experience for children. The popularity of the toy was because of the show, so when it came to its conclusion in 1978, sales of the toy dropped and production would end.
Et maintenant, il te plaît comme ça?
It's là. C'est Texas.
Maybe you remember having your first toy phone as a child. Not a whole lot of people can boast about having experienced the Fisher-Price Chatter telephone, but this classic toy was a staple for children of the 60s, designed as a plastic and colorful version of the rotary phone. It encouraged toddlers to engage in make-believe telephone skills and communication, and came with a dial receiver that had a cheerful face. Its eyes moved when its cord was pulled, and it had wheels attached to the bottom, allowing kids to pull it along. It was fun for kids and remains a popular toy produced with upgrades that ensure it remains relevant for many years to come.
Out, squeeze it through, shape it up, it's easy to do.
The PlayDoh Fun Factory took creativity to a whole different level. With its Fun Factory activity, it allowed kids to create their own delicacies using the Play-Doh blob. Kids could place it into the holder and choose a shape and stamp from various factory templates. You could make all sorts of food in the small plastic factory. Your only limitation was your own imagination. There were a wide variety of colorful blobs, and the factory was made of sturdy plastic. Endless possibilities of what could be manufactured made PlayDoh an excellent toy for children.
An old-timey fellow, a slinky dog, a slinky train, many more wonderful...
If getting a real dog was too much of a hassle, you had the option to get a Slinky Dog. The Slinky Dog was introduced in the early 60s as a playful plastic dachshund with a stretchable slinky spring in the middle and on the tail. The springs gave the dog its flexibility and made it appealing to children who loved its interactive movement. It became even more popular when it featured Slinky the dog in the Toy Story movies.
Make plastic. Mold plastic. Play with plastic.
Learning science in the 1960s was made fun by chemistry sets. They inspired curiosity and helped children to learn the basics of chemistry. They were hands-on and came with chemicals, test tubes, a Bunsen burner, and more laboratory equipment, an instructional manual on how to carry out experiments. Kids could marvel at the changes in color of chemical reactions and explosive or foamy reactions which were conducted under supervision. By the 1980s, elements like sulfur, potassium, and nitrate were removed due to safety concerns.
New from the 007 store, it's 007's legendary attaché case.
Growing up in the 60s, children idolized James Bond. So when companies capitalized on the popularity of the franchise, they created James Bond briefcases. People went ballistic with excitement and hurried to grab a piece of the sleek black attaché case. The expectations of fans were met with a variety of spy gadgets contained in the briefcase, like the code book, fake currency, plastic ammunition, and hidden knives, as well as a secret compartment that would explode with a pop if the case was opened the wrong way. This classic briefcase faded from distribution because of safety concerns, and collectors still keep the vintage briefcase, experiencing the allure of a secret agent lifestyle.
Here, front and rear crashes here.
Children who love fast cars and racing adored the Hot Wheels track set. Mattel introduced the groundbreaking racetrack toy for kids of all ages. Hot Wheels were a huge success, as the highly dynamic, customizable tracks appealed to children and adults alike. They included ramps, loops, straight paths, and more. You could catapult your car down the track at breakneck speed. The thrilling loop stunts and car models and intricate structures of the track made it an exciting gift for children. Nobody can forget Matchbox Cars, the miniature vehicles introduced in the 50s. The small die-cast metal cars were small enough to fit in a matchbox and were affordable and fun to collect. The craftsmanship and detail was quite appealing to children, allowing for hours of imaginative play. Matchbox were always a huge competition for Hot Wheels and fetch high prices among collectors. Secret agents and spy movies influenced the 60s, and children were fascinated with the idea of being a spy. When Topper Toys introduced the Secret Sam Spy Kit, it was a huge thrill for children, and many could not wait to get their hands on the cleverly designed gadgets inside the case. The kit fueled young imaginations, providing children with the coolest and most realistic tools to role-play as an undercover agent, just like characters portrayed on the big screen. The briefcase came with a small camera, real photographs, a toy gun with long-range and short-range ammunition, and it could be fired when the case was closed. It also featured all kinds of accessories for a weapon, and they were typical contents that you would expect in a briefcase of the 60s spy agent. The spy kit was eventually discontinued due to changes in safety standards over time.
The action heats up in Gotham City. There's only one way to cool things down.
The Batmobile Model Kit was certainly a must-have with fans of the Batman TV series. The 1960 series starred Adam West and greatly influenced children of the era. Companies began to produce the Batmobile Model Kit, and fans could not get enough. It allowed children to build their own replica with nothing but their own creativity. It featured distinctive gadgets, fins, bat-like details, crime-fighting accessories, and a small version of Batman and Robin to fit inside of the car. This nostalgic toy is collector's gold and one of a kind. Which of these toys and gadgets do you remember? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and also like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another great memory in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.